So our overall goal is to graph a rational function. And these are the steps that we can use. Number one, we can find the domain. Number two, we can plot the y-intercept. So remember, to find the y-intercept, this is where we let x equals 0 and solve for y. Okay. We can find the x-intercept, and to find the x-intercept, we let y equals 0 and solve for x. We can find the vertical asymptote, and so after that, we can find the horizontal asymptote if any exists. And I'm going to put here or slant. Okay. And then we can plot at least 1 point or 2 points, or as many points as you feel you need to finish seeing what the graph looks like. And you want to do it between the asymptotes and the x-intercepts. So let's look at this example. So I'm going to find the y-intercept first. Okay, so to find the y-intercept, this is the function. So I let x equal 0. So 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. So we get 3/2. So your y-intercept is at 0 and 3/2. And we'll plot it in a little bit. The x-intercept, so again, I'm just going to start by writing the function. I let y equal 0. And to solve for x here, I'm going to multiply by x minus 2 on both sides. So we get 3x minus 3 equals 0. Add the 3. And then divide by 3. So we get 1, 0 as our x-intercept. So those are the intercepts. Then we need to find the asymptotes. So let me check for the vertical asymptotes. So here the function is, okay, so remember, to find the vertical asymptotes, it's important that you factor if you're able to. So in this case, I was able to factor a 3 out of the numerator since they had 3 in common. But then even if I do that, I didn't have nothing to cancel. But it's important to do that so that you can check later if you can cancel anything. Since I cannot cancel anything, then your next step is set the denominator equal to 0. So x equals 2 is my vertical asymptote. And then lastly, we're going to find the horizontal or slant asymptote. And I keep writing the equation. It's just easier for me to see it. You can always refer to it up here. So for the horizontal asymptote, this is the one where we're looking at the degrees of the numerator and the degree of the denominator. So they're both 1. So that means that my horizontal asymptote, since they're the same, I just take the leading coefficient of the numerator divided by the leading coefficient of the denominator. So y equals 3 is my horizontal asymptote. Okay, so we plot this information over here. We have 1, 0 is right here. 0 and 3/2 is going to be 1.5, so like maybe right here. And the vertical asymptote is x equals 2. So we draw that with a dotted line. Okay, so that's my horizontal asymptote. Let me use red, maybe it's easier to see red. And then the horizontal one is y equals 3. Okay, so this is what I have here. The dotted lines are the asymptotes, and notice I only have 2 points. And since they're asymptotes, then we know that the graph is going to get closer to this line and closer to this line. So that is what it would look like on this side. But we know that other stuff might be happening, so this is where you want to plot extra points. Okay. We already know everything on this side, so we need to figure out what's on this side. So maybe we can use 1. So if I plug in 1, let's see what do we get. Three minus 3 is 0. 1 minus 2 is -1. So that's a 0. So when x is 1, actually that wasn't a 1, right? We get 0. Let me see where we're at. The point on this side is not a 1, it's actually a 3, because the asymptote here was 2, so this point is a 3. So let's check the 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, minus 3 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1, so we get 6. So I'm going to go up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then you can plot in more points, or you can just know that since they're asymptotes, the graph is going to get close, but not, you can do that one. This one doesn't give us a lot of points. Okay, so first, let's find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So I'm just going to refer to the function here and not write it every time. That way it saves space. So f of 0 is equal to 2 times 0 squared divided by 0 squared minus 9. So 2 times 0 squared is 0. And we end up with 0. So our horizontal y-intercept is 0, 0. Let's find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, I let y equal 0. If I multiply by x squared minus 9 on both sides, then I get 2x squared is equal to 0. And so if I divide and take the square root, then this is still going to be 0. So my x-intercept is also 0, 0. Vertical asymptote. So for my vertical asymptote, the first step, again, remember, is to factor. So for the denominator, I get x minus 3x plus 3. I cannot cancel anything, so I set each one equal to 0. So x is equal to 3 and x is equal to -3. These are my vertical asymptotes. And then the horizontal asymptote. For the horizontal asymptotes, the degrees are the same, 2 and 2. So that's going to be the leading coefficient of the numerator divided by the leading coefficient of the denominator. So y equals 2 will be my horizontal asymptote. And so if you notice, if I graph this, I don't have a lot of information. We found this point here, 0, 0 for the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And then my asymptote says that x equals 3. So right here. And x equals -3. Right there. And then the horizontal asymptote is y equals 2. And so I only have one dot at one point, and that's it. So what we want to do is figure out some more points. So for example, let's try f of 1. So if I enter 1 here, then here's going to be 1 times 2 is 2. 1 minus 9 is -8. So we get -1/4. So for 1, we get -1/4, which is going to be like somewhere here. And we can try -1. So 2 times -1 squared divided by -1 squared minus 9. So we get 2 minus 8, -1/4. So that's going to be about here. Okay. So for this graph, this is going to go down. And then this is going to go down as well. So it's like a parabola in there. But now we need to figure out what's happening on this side and what's happening on this side. So we can choose some more points. The vertical asymptote here was 3. So we can choose, for example, 4. So let's look at f of 4. Four squared is 16 times 2. It's going to be 32. And then 16 minus 9 is 7. So this is going to be 4 point something, 4.5 or something like that. So whenever x is 4 right here, we get 4 something. So like somewhere up here. Okay. So I know that this graph will get closer to this point here, and then this one will get closer to this point here. And then we can check on the other side, f of -4. Since it's being squared, you're going to get the same answer here. For this one is still the same, 32/7. So this will go down this way. Okay. And so basically, if you want to check your graphs, you can always go to Desmos.com. And let me just graph it really quick. This was 2x squared divided by x squared minus 9. And so as you can see, it has the graph, but the only thing that is missing are the asymptotes. So you will not be able to see the asymptotes, but at least it gives you an idea. This is 1, 2, 3. You can see the graph is getting closer and closer to the 3, but it's never going to get there. As I zoom in, you can see the line is never getting to that 3. So that is one way that you can check if you're working these out correctly.